Welcome aboard National Football Show. It's your boy Big Sills. We appreciate everyone coming aboard with us here. And Miss Hurts, I'll say this to you. There's a lot of people perpetrating you out there now. So we appreciate you checking in with us here as you do occasionally. And yes, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming in here and setting the record straight with us here. I tweeted at you too, by the way, just so you know. And just to keep things fair here, we appreciate you coming aboard here with us. So we thank you again too. And Jalen is kicking ass this year too. So thank you so much. All right. Trading deadline is today. And there is no question we are going to keep an eye on this as teams can get better. You can call it improve or implode, but there's no question. We're going to see teams either go for it or not go for it, okay? And you can get yourself better. You can put yourself in a position right now where you could become a contender. I think the Cowboys need a wide receiver. Judy's available for a second and a fourth, reporting sources out there saying that Denver's willing to move him. Okay? So if the Eagles make a move here, we're going to talk about that here in a second. What position do you think it will be a need at? We'll get there in a minute here. Merrill Reese will be with us in this hour at the bottom of the hour, by the way, too. The legendary voice of the Philadelphia Eagles, the man who obviously has been calling his football team's games for the last 50 years. Hey, real quick before I get started, I do want to say this. Xander, you're probably going to hate this take. Okay? If I were the Auburn Tigers, you're never going to beat Nick Saban in Alabama. You are never in a million years going to beat Alabama with a traditional hire of coaches going into Auburn and trying to compete with Alabama. Do something unconventional. Do something that is out of the box. Hire Deion Sanders. If you want to compete with Nick Saban, hire Deion. He'll get the best coaches. Look at what he's done to the historically black colleges and what people now look at them as. They're now on ESPN. ESPN carries their games on a college football Saturday. Can you imagine what he would do to Auburn football if he was the head football coach there at Jordan-Hare? Do something out of the box. Don't be common. You making a traditional hire to try to compete against Saban, you're going to get killed again. You are going to get killed again. Do me a favor. Think out of the box. Okay? Think out of the box and hire Deion Sanders. Okay. We're going to be keeping an eye on the trading deadline here and the movement that's going on around the NFL. Falcons have traded Calvin Ridley, who's on suspension for a year for gambling, to the Jaguars. By the way, a lot of teams are checking in on Josh Allen with the Jaguars. Could the Eagles be one of those teams too? I think they've pretty much filled their need at edge rusher. But Josh Allen's name now is being thrown around that potentially the Jaguars, for the right price, would move off of him. So teams like Kansas City have contacted Trent Baalke, the general manager, and Doug Peterson for Josh Allen down in Jacksonville. They need a pass rusher. Kansas City needs a pass rusher desperately. Okay? So we're going to keep an eye on this. And like I said, teams are either going to improve or implode. The Eagles, maybe their best move, they just sit back. Keep their depth. I am not moving Andre Dillard or Jack Driscoll. Absolutely no way. Those are my security blankets. I am not moving those two players unless they are massive packages that teams are going to put a package together and a trade package together to get one of those two guys. I am not dealing those guys. You're going to need those guys for the stretch run here if you're going to win home field advantage. By the way, I don't think it's any longer in the conversation here about winning the NFC East. I think now it's more about home field advantage in the playoffs. You have to, in my opinion, have the NFC playoffs run through the Lincoln. You have to have it run through Philly. Okay? Michael, appreciate you coming aboard. Thank you so much. Hey, Big Sales, Burrow did great last night. Richie, I'll take Burrow over anybody in the league outside of 2 other quarterbacks. You can keep doing that all you want. You're right. Okay? Burrow sucks. I'll keep Joe Burrow, and you can have Jalen. Okay? You can have Jalen. I'll take Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's already gone to a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow has already won an AFC championship. You see him last night against the Browns? Yeah, I saw him last year against the Rams in the Super Bowl too. I saw him last year sack 9 times in a ball game and win it and get his team into the AFC championship game and win it. I saw Jalen get into the playoffs and get whacked. Whacked. Kareem Hunt and Greedy for a conditional 3rd or straight up 2nd. Last year means nothing. Of course it doesn't. One's resume never means anything. You're correct. Burrow had receivers. That's right. That's probably why they were annihilated when Troy Aikman was on the air saying, throw it left, throw it left, throw it left. Are you under the assumption Devonta Smith wasn't open in that playoff game last year? Are you under some sort of he was open, wide open? Okay. It's not where I'm going. Once again, idiots leading my show will never happen. I'm not a traffic cop. As we get closer to the 4 o'clock Eastern trading deadline, what is the number one area on the Eagles that they can improve with a move as we get closer to the 4 p.m. trading deadline? What's the one area on the team? One area. Do you really need another running back? Well, if it's Kamara and Hunt, we're talking about good football players. You see the Browns put Kareem Hunt on display last night too? That was clearly by design. He hadn't had a lot of carries going into that Bengals game last night. That was clearly by design last night by Andrew Berry. Running back and safety, says Chris. Backup safety. Running back depth. Okay? Cox is also 32. He will wear down. By the way, we're going to talk a little bit about Jordan Davis's injury. It looks like it's going to be an extended period of time he's going to be out. Okay? And by the way, I think that hurts your run defense. Not that you guys have been playing spectacular run defense, but that hurts your run defense. I think he's helped a lot on the run defense, him being in the ball game when they put him in there. You know, one of the big differences this year has been with the Eagle defensive front 4 has been you guys have won traditionally first down and not giving up those gaping running holes that you gave up a year ago. Okay? I mean, hey, by the way, would you move Hargrave? You know, I'll tell you this. Howie may have been thinking of moving either Fletcher or Hargrave prior to the Jordan Davis injury. He may have been thinking that. But now, obviously, that's a moot point. You're not going to put Milton Williams in there and give him significant time right now. Why? You're just going to keep Fletcher. Maybe try moving Fletcher in the offseason. Drew, I would say this. The majority of the money, though, for the Eagles is tied up in those tackles on the defensive side of the football. That's why they may have been really contemplating moving one of those 2 guys. They were on 1-year deal. That was set up for the trading deadline or trading them in the offseason. If clearly you're at a 1-year deal or you're in the last year of your contract like Hargrave, you could trade the guy, pay him the remainder of the salary that's owed to him, and if he walks out the building, he walks out the building. No harm, no foul, and you get a good player for a couple months. He may help you win a division. That was all until Jordan Davis's injury, in my opinion. Hargrave is better than Cox. He is. He is. Today, on November 1, he is better. Okay? Alshon will be off the books March 17th. Okay? He'll be off the books March 17th. Flash says, well, I saw a lot of Hargrave and Davis and Cox three-man rotation in the Steelers game. I think we could use our edge depth better and still be fine. Again, though, Flash, the Steelers are pathetic. That's not a barometer or a gauge. The Steelers are not a barometer. And the Texans won't be. They're not going to be a barometer. Okay? They're not going to be. So you have to think a little bit higher and have higher standards than the Steelers. And I know it's crazy to say that the Steelers aren't a gold standard to gauge your team on versus their talent. It's the worst Steeler team that I've seen in my lifetime. Okay? It's the worst. This defense could be better with a better coordinator. There's something to be said about that. Hey, but did you hear Tony Romo during the broadcast? Tony Romo was blowing up Jonathan Gannon like he's the next coming of Kyle Shanahan. I was like, dude, that guy is not that good, and Tony Romo doesn't do his homework. He's a quarterback. What would he know about defense? Seriously, or D coordinators. Guy won what? 2 playoff games? 1 playoff game? What would he know about going against good coordinators? That guy didn't do shit in his career. You talk about hollow stats? Tony Romo is the king and he is the stamp that you put on your letter for empty calories when it comes to statistics in NFL history. He did shit there. Tom Brady's got more playoff wins in the NFC, and he's only been there 2.5 years than what Romo had in 17 years as a starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. Romo was a bum. Put up a lot of numbers. Jerry liked him, and he was a bum. Never would I want that guy. Now, I'll tell you this, though. To be fair to Romo, he completely overachieved. He was an undrafted free agent who went on to break all of the Dallas Cowboys passing records. Completely overachieved. But when we're talking about elite guys, Jimmy Garoppolo's better. Garoppolo's better than Romo. He's done more. He's gone further. He's won more. He's 5-2 in the postseason. He's 5-2. Romo in 17 years didn't do what Romo has done in 6 in San Francisco. Okay? I mean, really. Romo's a bum. A bum. No line for Romo either, Sills. Okay? No line last year for Joe Burrow, and he went to a Super Bowl. Graded out by Pro Football Focus as the worst O-line in the NFL last year were the Cincinnati Bengals. And that guy was a quarter away from winning it. The guy you guys say sucks now all of a sudden. Yeah, okay. You watch the contract that guy gets. They'll be writing him a check for $500 million. $500 million in Cincinnati. They're already building indoor facilities because of Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. Whatever. Jimmy G, baby. Damn right I like Jimmy G. I like anybody who's a winner. You're damn right. 43-19. God bless. Is that what that record is? with Jimmy. Is that what that thing is? Man, what a quarterback. Man, what a great football player Garoppolo is. No question about it. I say this. I'd like to see Howie do a little work on depth. You're going to need it. Okay? Danny says Jalen is a winner. Yeah, okay. When he wins something significant, I'll call him that. Right now, he's playing winning football. Absolutely. Got to give him his justice. Oh, by the way, do we have it? The Big Sills, top 10 NFL quarterbacks. We have our power rankings today as well. How you doing? How you doing? We're going to look at the standings. Maniac. Laughing my ass off. Sills loves getting under our skin. Maniac, I don't do anything as such. You know, Xander said something to me. I don't know what it is, but some of your button words that you've learned over the years in broadcasting, it just antagonizes people. Yeah, we had a president like that too. 45 used to do that. Okay? 45 used to do that. He's a bum. Oh, man. How you doing? He's a bum. He's a bum. Oh, by the way, please, people, November 8th, get out and vote. Please. Thank you. Begging you. Dak ain't shit. Well, has Jalen beaten him yet? Has Jalen beaten him yet? Joshua Sills is good banter. That's why Philly rocks with him. You bet, Joshua, man. And I respect you guys so much, man. Thank you guys so much. Sills, you don't think they should have taken Joe out of the game? I do. By the way, I mean, hey, quite frankly, I think they should have taken Jalen out of that Steeler game. Why would you have played Jalen Hurts once you had that game in tow? Why didn't you take Jalen out? What's the point of keeping that guy in the game when you have the game? As right now, hey, this Texans game, Jalen Hurts should not play the entire game. Don't play that game in a shit game that doesn't matter. You're going to beat this team by 2 touchdowns. You got to be favored in this game on Thursday by 2 touchdowns. You get up in the third and fourth quarter, you need to take some of your starters out. You still got a haul. And you still got a wheelbarrow full of games left to play here. They did take him out. I didn't see that at the end. They did a 10-minute mark. Okay, I must have missed that. I'm sorry. Okay, good. They should do the same thing here in this Texans game. Okay? Hey, Big Sills, tell me why we don't have any transgender representatives in the NFL. Bro. I'm just going to move on from that one. I wouldn't know where to start with that. First records don't matter. Then Jalen only played a few winning record teams this year. 3, I think now. I think that's pretty good, actually. I think that's pretty good. Hey, there's a lot of teams in the league right now that are playing shitty teams. And the one thing that the Eagles are doing, they're not playing down to their competition, which is spectacular. Keep it up, guys. They are the most consistent. Hey, even the Bills and the Chiefs play down to some competition. That's because they don't have a running attack. That's where you guys may catch them. Honestly. I thought about it. I watched the 22 of the Bills and the Chiefs, and then I watched the Eagles versus the Steelers. The Steelers are terrible, right? Well, they treated them like they were terrible. But if you watch some of the games with the Chiefs and Bills, they'll tiptoe down to those teams' competition levels, and they get bit sometimes doing that. Allen will throw a pick. Kansas City will have a couple 3-and-outs. The other team gets back in it. The Eagles don't allow that. The Eagles do not allow that. That's the one thing that's been consummate with the football team, even coming out of the bye. Jones, any trading news? He's asking. Not yet. We're keeping an eye on that. Believe me. Yeah, no, hey man, I think that they're playing to their own competition. They have set a standard, Philly, and they're really the only team that plays to that level every single week. Sands, absolutely. And that's why actually, if you think about it, it's probably one of the reasons why they may be playing the best football of any team in the league right now. I have a feeling we aren't making a move. Hey, sometimes, Matthew, the best moves you can make are moves you don't make. Okay? Sometimes the best moves. Hey, remember the move that was being thrown around about 10 years ago in Golden State? They wanted to trade Stephen Curry, and everybody in that organization was thinking of trading Steph. Jerry West, who was a consultant up there with Bob Myers, goes like this. I don't know. You shouldn't trade him, Bob. This kid's going to be a player. Well, what, 4 titles later? Look what maybe not making the move of the century did for the Golden State Warriors. Bob Myers and those guys wanted to move him. And Jerry West was like, I don't know. You might not want to do that. Okay? Dank says we made a move last week. Yeah, I think you made really a great move. And I think he's going to be active for this game on Thursday against the Texans. What a great way to get him going, too. Hurts better be 1 or 2 on that list. I don't know. I said he was in the MVP conversation. I had him as my MVP, but I wouldn't. He's not outplaying Mahomes and Allen. He's not. I have the numbers to prove it. Howie is doing his stuff, negotiating. He needs the Trump book. I'll tell you what, you know what the Trump book is? I get the best deals. Hey, Xander, can you do me a favor? Make sure you send Merrill Reese the link. He's looking for the link right now, if you can. Merrill just texted us, and he's looking forward to talking with you guys. Okay? The Eagles are the best team in the NFL. No, they're not. They're one of them. How can you say he's getting your vote, but then dog the dude? Sills only does this for views. I don't do anything for views, guy. I'm not that smart. I'm not that smart. You're giving me more credit than you are. I'm not that smart, dude. You think that I'm one of these anglers or these people that work in my business that are snakes. I'm not that smart, my friend. Sills only does this for, I don't even, I'm just learning what views are. Hurts had 4 passing touchdowns and 140 rating last week against the shitty Steelers. Congratulations to you. Wonderful performance. Uh-oh. We know you're not smart. Okay. Hey, Big Sills, you're a hater. I got to get a t-shirt with that. I got to get a t-shirt. JAKIB Sports' biggest hater. Oh, man. See, I would like to get a JAKIB shirt, but Big Joe and little Krause, they only give them to Rob. So, one day I'll get my shirt. Everyone else at JAKIB gets their shirt, but Big Sills doesn't. Now, I get, between me and Barrett, I get, the shirts obviously would be more money because of obviously more cloth to be had in this whole thing. Eagles aren't better than the Bills or Chiefs. I don't know about that, man. I don't know. They're getting there. They are. Heard you blew off the draft. Krause canceled the shipment. Oh, man. Oh, I see. See, you got to understand something about the Krauses, okay? The Krauses in this business form we have here, it's Hammurabi's code. It's an eye for an eye. That's how we trade here. It's an eye for an eye, big sales member. You know? Hey? Oh, man. The Eagles are better than the Chiefs and Saints. Thank you. The best division in football is the NFC East. Sure looks that way. Dan, you're like my ex-wife. You don't give out compliments lightly. I don't. There's a problem with me with that. Xander, too, by the way. What do you want me to tell you, Sills? Okay, you did a good show. Move on, guy. Hey, here's a cookie. But then again, that's why I like you guys in Philly. Because I think that's really the way it should be. My grandfather was like that. I tell people this all the time. My grandfather never told me he loved me in my entire life growing up. He just showed it to me every day. I didn't need to hear it. I saw it. And that's how he lived. That's how he lived, man. All right. I want to get to something here, too, before Merrill. Merrill's going to join in with us here in a couple minutes here. And we're going to talk to him about the 7-0 start and also the short work week with the Texans on Thursday Night Football on Amazon. Who do you truly believe to be the biggest threat to this team in the NFC for them to win the NFC in the conference? Niners, Cowboys, Vikings. I think the rest of those teams, I think it's Vikings, Cowboys, and Niners. You notice there's no Rams and Bucks? How could you have a list like that and not have Brady and Aaron Rodgers in it? But it's happened. Unless those two teams turn it around and they find some sort of fountain of youth, they're not going anywhere. You know what? The Packers and Bucks may actually end up missing the playoffs this year. How insane is that? They may actually miss the playoffs. And the Falcons may win the South. The Vikings are clearly going to win the North. And because of the way the teams are playing in the NFC East, do you know there's a possibility that three teams could come out of the NFC East when it comes to the playoffs? Three teams could come out of the East. You're not going to get a team coming out of the West outside of the division winner. The South is not going to have a division winner outside of the division winner. And the North. You're going to have three teams potentially come out of the NFC East. Cowboys, Giants, who knows? Maybe Washington catches fire. What if Washington ends up upsetting the Eagles and they start making a push for the playoffs? I don't know. They could do this, man. I'll tell you what, I think a lot of people right now have to be pretty impressed and pretty surprised with the way that the NFC East is turning out to be more of a battle. And the Eagles sitting there at 7-0. You got the Cowboys now sitting at, let me see here. The Cowboys are sitting at 6-2. You got the Giants now at 6-2. And Washington now has pulled the rear up and now sitting at 4-4. Of all the divisions in football, it's the only division in the NFC that every single team has a winning record. And if you want to even go that further, the AFC East is the only other team right now that has teams that are above 500. The AFC East and the NFC East are the two teams, right, or the two divisions, one in the NFC and one in the AFC, that have all their teams above 500. So we're getting ready to go to Merrill Reese here in a second, and we're going to talk to our friend and get his opinion on what he's seen so far with this tremendous start of this football team. And Xander, are we ready to go to Merrill here? Can we go to him now? Let's go to Merrill Reese right now, who's on a short work week. He's got the Texans on Thursday Night Football. Merrill, most impressive thing that you've seen so far with this football team as you're 7-0.
I think the most impressive thing, Dan, and there are a lot of impressive things starting with the coaching and the quarterback, but I think the most impressive thing is that in the turnover department, where last year their turnover differential was even, they are now plus 14 and way ahead of the rest of the league. 14 times more they have taken it away than given it up. And after 7 games, Can you remember a team going 7 games without losing one fumble?
No, no. I went back and looked too, Merrill, and I couldn't think. You'd have to go back to one of those Steeler teams in the '70s. That was one of those teams that didn't really turn the football over because they ran the ball, and that was the early Steeler ones, not the later ones with Bradshaw. But no, I haven't seen anything, and that has been the most impressive thing. But Merrill, I want to throw this at you. You know, all the teams in the league, I'll tell you the most impressive thing for me, and tell me what you think of this. They never played down to their competition. I mean, coming out, look, the Steelers are terrible. This team on Thursday is terrible. Now, everybody can win on any given Sunday, Thursday, Monday. We know this. However, they never played down. I've seen the Bills play down the competition. I've seen the Chiefs play down the competition. That's really from the coaching staff and player accountability. That's got to be one of the most impressive things.
Yeah, I think that is. I mean, they are always ready. I was worried, Dan, about the Detroit game going into the season because the Eagles' practices really didn't have any real physicality, and the Lions, to me, looked like they were in mid-season form, at least from watching Hard Knocks. And the Eagles weathered a few storms there, but still won the game. But ever since then, they've been pretty good. You know,
Do you agree, Merrill? It looks like now we're going on 2 years here, and let me knock on wood. But the way that they do practice in the exhibition season and the way they prepare in the exhibition season, you know, I'm always a believer that you have to put hard work in. I'm always a believer that you got to play your guys and you got to get rhythm going. But the Eagles the last 2 years have been relatively healthy. And again, I say that with great respect to the league, knowing depth is an issue here, the war of attrition. I get it all. I'm not trying to jinx anybody here, but maybe they did find the fountain of health, the way they prepare.
Maybe they did. The only significant injury came last Sunday when Jordan Davis, the number 1 draft pick, appeared to sustain a high ankle sprain. But that's the only one so far, really. I mean, guys get dinged and there are concussions and things of that nature, but there haven't been any season enders, which is very, very big.
How impressed have you been with the way that Sirianni has gravitated to being a head coach? I tell you, do you agree, Merrill? Ever since he handed over the play calling duties to Shane Steichen, Nick Sirianni's been a better head football coach.
Well, Nick is a good coach. I don't know if handing over the play calling is the difference. And I think, and I've said this to you before, I think the play calling is overrated, that it's execution. And it doesn't matter what you call if you can't block or if somebody jumps off sides but if there's a number of great plays you can all choose that will all work. Nick says basically they go over so many situations during the week that all Shane is doing, and this is not to minimize the good job Shane is doing, but it's something that they both would probably make the same play call for a given down and distance and yard line. So they're very much on the same page.
Merrill, somebody just said something here about the playing time for Nakobe. Are you concerned that, they had a substantial lead and we didn't see Nakobe Dean at all in that game against the Steelers when it came to playing the linebacker position? Are you concerned that he's not getting enough playing time? Are you concerned that, again, everyone else pretty much played in that game but him?
Well, I know that the defensive coordinator, Jonathan Gannon, is not disappointed in Nakobe Dean. He thinks he's going to be a great player. It just takes time. And right now, the linebackers are playing so well. And let's face it, very often you're only dealing with 1 or 2 in a passing situation. But Nakobe Dean's day will come, and he's playing very well in special teams. Now, I know that sounds like, yeah, but she has a nice personality. But the truth of the matter is Nakobe Dean is a good football player. And you may not see it this year as a linebacker, but eventually when he gets in, he will succeed.
Merrill, I try telling people the same thing. Some guys are just, it takes a little bit more time. Some guys you can plug right in. You've seen this too, right? You put a guy in there, right, Merrill, and all of a sudden he just doesn't pick it up. And then, boom, there he is in the second, third year. He picks it up and he's a ball player and turns into an all-pro.
Well, aren't we seeing that not on defense, but aren't we seeing that right now with Geno Smith in Seattle?
We sure are. That is absolutely a great comparison. All right. I get a vote for the NFL alumni that NFL honors at the end of the year. And I got to tell you right now, I would have never have said this at the beginning of the year, but right now, after 8 games, I got to tell you, Merrill, I mean, I got Jalen Hurts is right now getting my MVP vote. I mean, how shocked have you been? We're not, before we were comparing him, Merrill, to Kirk Cousins and other guys. Now we're talking about him and Joe Burrow, Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen language. I mean, it's been quite an ascent for him, hasn't it, this year?
It has been. About an hour ago, I was at the facility, and I asked Shane Steichen, the offensive coordinator, and I said to him, are you surprised, not that he's better, because you liked what you saw with Jalen last year, but that he's not just improved, but he's improved to the point where he's on a whole other level? And Shane Steichen said, no, I expected it. He said, I see it every day in the meetings. I see it every day on the practice field. I saw it all summer at camp. This was coming. There were just certain things he had to adjust to and improve upon, like making quick decisions and reading downfield. But he has done that. And he said, I'm not surprised. I expected this. And I didn't see that coming. I saw a starting quarterback, but I didn't think we'd be seeing the elite performances that we're seeing this year.
Absolutely. I mean, he's just knocking the cover off of everything and all the doubters and what they're saying about him. All right, Merrill, you've covered this team for such a long time here, and you're like a Eagle encyclopedia. If you had to pick a wide receiver, T.O. or A.J. Brown, who would you want in your huddle?
A.J. Brown.
Wow. Why?
Well, first of all, you said in my huddle.
Yes.
So don't know that A.J. Brown's not going to be screaming, I want the ball. And I also, look, T.O. was great. He was great. But by the end of that first year, his relationship with Donovan unraveled. And then I saw the next year where T.O. was totally divisive to this football team. There were a portion of the locker room that loved T.O. and another portion that wished he would just shut up and go away, which, well, I don't know if he shut up, but he did go away. But T.O. has not done well in the teammate parade, either in San Francisco, Philadelphia, Dallas, or Buffalo.
2 last questions for you, Merrill. You know, you look at where everything's going here with this team here, and the job that Miles Sanders is doing for the offense. He's on pace for 1,400 yards. They may be in the market for another move here as we get closer to 4 p.m. Eastern. People are talking Kareem Hunt. I don't know what the Browns do after last night. They put him on display. Just really not enough being said about him and how well and how important he's been to the offense.
I agree. I don't think they ought to do anything in the running back department. I think that what we've seen from Miles Sanders is outstanding. Boston Scott gives you a great change of pace. Kenneth Gainwell has fit well into the role of a third down back. And then they have Trey Sermon, who they picked up, who has yet to really play much, a little on special teams. They played moderately, but he's a powerful back. So I think they have a good complement there. I wouldn't mess with that department.
Okay, I'll close with this with you. What's been funner to cover? The 17 team up to this point, November 1, or this team this year?
It's a good question. I would have to say, in my opinion, that team had a lot of heart. They made up for a lot of injuries. Don't forget, they lost Jason Peters, their best offensive lineman, Jordan Hicks, their best linebacker, Caleb Sturgis, who was their kicker. They had to pick up some guy named Jake Elliott from the Cincinnati practice squad. They lost, who else did they lost? Their best special teamer, Chris Maragos. They lost so many people. And then ultimately, they lost their MVP quarterback, Carson Wentz, and they won the Super Bowl. That was remarkable. So that was fun and unexpected to cover. This one is fun because they're a great bunch of guys They're a bunch of players that mesh together as a team. They have a terrific, young, bright coaching staff. They're both, and I'm a big Doug Peterson fan too, of course, and also a Nick Sirianni fan. So they're both fun to cover when you're going through them. Now, this team hasn't gone to the Super Bowl yet, so that will be interesting. And as I mentioned, no Eagles team has ever gone 8-0, and they're on the verge.
Wow. Hey, in closing, as we walk out the door here, boy, I'll tell you one thing is evident. Indianapolis misses Nick Sirianni. And I got to tell you, Merrill, I mean, you know, I know that he was with Frank a lot. He was with Frank in San Diego when he was a wide receiver coach with him. And I know he went to Indianapolis with him as a head coach. But there's no question that the influence that he had there with Phillip Rivers when they won 11 ball games last year, even when they won, 9 ball games, you still had some of the stuff that Sirianni had put into that offense. And it kind of worked a little bit with Wentz. But I tell you, what's happened with the offense in Indianapolis just shows you, I think, how underestimated that Nick Sirianni was as a head coaching candidate.
I think so, too. When I first heard his name mentioned, my immediate response was, who? I mean, I wasn't aware of a wide receiver coach in Indianapolis, but boy, has he done a good job, or an offensive coordinator, but he's done a great job here. And it's not just the play calling or the schemes. It's the way he handles the players. It's the combination of liking him and trusting him. That's a great combination. It's not always possible, but they like him and they trust him. There's a loyalty there, and he treats them well too. So, and it's a great staff. Steichen is doing a great job. Jonathan Gannon will probably be a head coach after this season. He's doing a great job. They're just good, and they have leaders on this team. There's no better leader than Jason Kelce and Brandon Graham. And Jalen Hurts, as a young guy, has really been a leader. He shows that leadership. Lane Johnson is the same way. They're a great bunch.
Absolutely. It's a great run. Texans on Thursday night. Don't forget, Merrill's on WIP on Thursday for the game, and we appreciate it. Merrill, thank you for always finding time. Go Birds, man. It's happening. Appreciate it. Thank you.
It is. I hope it keeps happening.
Absolutely. Thank you, Merrill. That is our friend Merrill Reese. Don't forget, again, he's calling the game for WIP on Thursday night. I'm going to make a comparison on Nick Sirianni, and tell me if you agree with it. I'm going to do that. I have the top quarterback performers through week 8. Holy cow. The Big Sil Power Rankings. Who's playing the best quarterback in the NFL right now? Look at this. Plus standings. And also, we'll get back into that conversation of the team that you fear the most in the NFC. We'll get to all your thoughts. Please hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.
Go to get your game on. Go for the beers. Go for the cheers. Go for the hit and the hits. Go for the stakes and the stakes. Go to get your parlay on. Go to get your party on. Go for the scene. Go for the screens. Go for the gallery. Go for the win. Go to Ocean. Visit theoceanac.com to plan